Hey YouTube, it's Marida from the Nurse Lounge, and today we're going to talk about 10 things. What is my title? 10 things that only mother-baby nurses would understand. So if you want to see what I think or what I say about what mother-baby nurses would understand, 10 things, I'm going to talk about those things here in just a minute. Stay tuned. Marida P. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 16 years. OB/GYN, well baby nursery is my specialty. I'm also a nurse educator now. And I have moved away from bedside and I am now in academia full time. However, I just kind of stepped away from postpartum, shall I say, but I'm still a postpartum nurse by specialty, by my heart. And I kind of wanted to talk about 10 things that only mother baby nurses would understand that maybe either other nurses wouldn't understand or say the general public wouldn't understand. I have another notebook here, so I will be looking down from time to time to read and to stay on track. So that's what I'll be doing. So let's go ahead and dive right on into the 10 things that only mother baby nurses would understand. Okay. Number 1. Well, let me preface this by saying, I was the type of nurse who, not nurse, but before I went to nursing school, which I finished nursing school back in 2004. So I've been a nurse, like I said, 16 years. It's been a while. So back before nursing school, before I even started in 2002, we had shows on TV like Maternity Ward, and on TLC, I think the channel was the Learning Channel, TLC. And Maternity Ward was my go-to to see a glimpse of what it looked like on, what OB looked like, what kind of nurse I could possibly be. And I happened to love what I saw on TV. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I could do that. Well, I get to nursing school or whatever and kind of go to clinicals and see that was greatly edited on TV. It is not like that. So, there are certain components that it's like that, but it's not like that all the time. So I want to kind of dive into these 10 things so you'll know that, okay, well, what were the differences? What did I see that was different? Or what is my biggest takeaways when it comes to postpartum or OB nursing? That's something that only... And all these things are not just exclusive to OB, but definitely something we see in our OB world. Okay. So here we go. Number 1, full moon. What do you all know about the full moon? So when it comes to the full moon, keep in mind that this is not exclusive to OB specifically. People in psych, people in geriatrics, people in different walks of life in healthcare, or even the forensic population, which is your jail population, definitely know what the full moon phenomena happens to be. So when it comes to full moons for us in OB specifically, we tend to see an increase of deliveries around the full moon. So back in the day before we had calendars, okay, you didn't have a due date. You didn't say, okay, well, you were due January 15th of 2021 or whatever it happens to be. That's not 9 months from now, but just as an example, they didn't have calendars like we have today. So what they did was they went by the moons. Okay. So every full moon, that's how many months you knew that, because we only have a full moon once a month. So it comes around monthly, right? Then you go through the different stages of the moons, phases of the moons. But once it comes back to the full moon again, usually a month has one around. And you have your baby in the 10th lunar moon, okay? So the end of the 9th moon, beginning of the 10th moon is when you have your baby. So they counted the moons, okay? That's how they know, okay, well, I've stopped my period at this point in time. So 10 moons from now is when I'm going to have my baby. You have your baby at the end of the 9th month, not the beginning of it. The end of the 9th month, or technically the beginning of the 10th month, is when you have your baby. You have 9 full months of a pregnancy if you have a 40-week pregnancy, okay? And if you go over, you go over. So they were counting the moons back then. So full moon for us, when we see full moon and we're like, okay, why is there an influx of all these patients coming in? I go look at the sky. I'm like, okay, full moon. That's why. Okay. So for us, the full moon phenomena is alive and well. We know what's going on when we say, when we go up the next morning, we see there's a full moon. We're like, it's going to be busy today, or for the next couple of days, really. So there is some truth to that. Number 2, In OB, it is either feast or famine. Now, you do have some hospitals that they stay busy all the time, and that's just the nature of who they are. But for us specifically in small community hospitals, you can have a period of time of feast or famine. And that word or those words, that verbiage, we know very well. If it's feast, that means it's probably full moon time, or we are around a time period in which we are having an abundance of babies. We're busy. We're having a lot of issues. We have, whatever's going on, but it's busy. That's the feast. When it's famine, I mean, you may have one patient, you may have two patients a piece or whatever. You may have, and it may be certain times of the year that this happens. So for us at our hospital, when it came to the holidays, they didn't really schedule a whole lot of deliveries on the holidays. So it was a scheduled famine kind of day. But at the same time, before December 31st, we got to get these people delivered. We want to be able to claim these tax babies. That's what we call them, tax babies. So we claim those tax babies. So we got to get them delivered before the end of the year type of thing. So it's feast or famine, meaning you're either very busy or you ain't doing nothing. Okay. And again, that's per hospital. So I don't even come on here saying, well, that must be per hospital. Well, that's what I just said. I know there's per hospital. I know that every hospital does not operate that same way. I know that every hospital, if you are a high flow or high busy unit, then you will have feast more often than you will have famine. That's not what I'm saying. I specifically said some of these small community hospitals will have those periods of feast or famine. And even in the larger hospitals, you will have your variation of the same. So for instance, you may have on the weekdays, you have all these deliveries. On the weekends, you clear everybody out. So there you have your own version of feast or famine. Nothing I'm saying today in this video, disclaimer, nothing that I'm saying today in this video is totality. This is in general, meaning totality means this happens everywhere to everyone. There is no such thing as that. Okay. I already know that. So, been doing this too long not to know that. I'm just simply saying in general, these are some terms that we use and that's kind of how we think of it. Number 3, natural disasters, economical changes, deployment, and holidays. You're like, what the hell I got to do with anything? Let me tell you. 9 months after these things happen, we have a baby boom. Okay. So for instance, how many have you all have heard of the Valentine's babies? So, this must be, what is it? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. November is our Valentine's babies. Okay. October is our New Year's babies. I want to say around there is our New Year's babies. So then we have our spring break babies. So meaning that if you count back if you have an influx of time of babies at a period of time and you count back 9 months and you have a holiday, a natural disaster, deployment, if you're in a military town where they've come back from deployment, you're going to have a baby boom 9 months later. Okay. And that's something that we just see. So keep checking. Guess what? We're going to have some COVID babies here in the next, well, we probably already having some COVID babies. Or about to have some COVID babies because COVID really got hot. COVID really started actually at the end of 19, but we didn't know we were calling it back then. So let's just say the pandemic was a big issue in March, I guess I say, when they shut everything down in March. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay. So December, January, February, we're going to have a baby boom. Why? Those are our COVID babies. Okay. We're going to call them that anyway. You're going to have some babies just naturally because people are having babies. But I'm just saying, when the world was shut down, we couldn't do nothing, right? So we couldn't do nothing. So that's the only thing left to do. So we have COVID babies. That's true with any situation we have. When I lived near a military town, when those soldiers came back from deployment, boom, 9 months later from that deployment, when they came back, we had babies. Okay. That's what I mean by that. We have those kind of babies after those situations. So believe me, that does happen. All right. Number 4 comes in threes. Okay. Death is something we don't like to talk about in OB, but it does happen here in OB. Death comes in threes. Okay. For us and really for other populations as well, hospice, geriatrics, we typically see that same pattern. But when it comes to OB specifically, we don't per se lose a lot of moms, but we do have a lot of what are known as stillbirths. So stillbirths are basically, or fetal demises or whatever you want to call them, babies that either in utero passed away or they died shortly thereafter. They were born alive, but died shortly thereafter. It just depends, but it tends to come in threes, meaning that we won't have any deaths, baby deaths, for a very long time. And then boom, when we get that first fetal demise or stillbirth or whatever situation happens to be, you better believe the other two is coming pretty quickly. And then you won't see it again for a while. Why that is, I don't know. It could be superstition. It could be whatever. It could be just as you know, it could be, I don't know. But I just do know that I have seen that time and time again, that when it comes to our fetal demises, they come in threes, and then we won't see them for a couple of 2, 3 more, sometimes 6 months or so. And then boom, we have another fetal demise, and then we know this coming. It's a somber time when that happens. It's nothing that we celebrate, nothing we're happy about. We as nurses sometimes are very down when we have those situations, especially the stories that are very difficult to, you know, maybe, and not every baby that dies is a bad situation, but there's been times where mom has, you know, lost 5 or 6 miscarriages. She's had miscarriages after miscarriage. She's had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and it's kind of like, okay, now we finally are pregnant, and she made it to full term or something like that, and then somehow loses this baby. It's devastating no matter what, but it is devastating. So that's something we really don't really like to have to deal with, but that is a reality in OB, or, you know, our postpartum world. Number 5. We're on number 5 now, so we are about to be halfway done. Number 5 is birth plans. I have a love-hate relationship with birth plans, and this is why. So when it comes to birth plans are basically a tool that families can use, mothers and families can use to be engaged, to have some control, to be part of the plan when it comes to having her baby. And so she typically has decided who she wants to be in the delivery, what provision she wants, medications or no medications, or just different things that she wants to have to take place. Students involved, no students involved, IVs, no IVs, I want to walk, I don't want to walk, I only want this person to take care of my baby, on and on and on. Just, I only want to breastfeed, don't tell me about paying medication, things like that will be in a birth plan. The problem is when some of these moms come with the most strictest birth plans, I don't know what happens to them, but either I don't know how you want to say it, but when they come with the most strictest birth plans, the opposite tends to happen. So if they said they wanted an all natural birth, they didn't want any no IVs, no nothing, they end up with a C-section. It always happens like that. Not always. Nothing's 100%, remember, but it happens like that. People will have the most strictest birth plans, and they don't want to think about reason, or they don't want to waver on anything, and then they end up with a C-section where they had to have the medications, the IVs, and everything that they didn't even want. I'm just saying, when it comes to birth plans, you have to be realistic. And then I will say, when it comes to birth plans, because I'm gonna do a whole separate video on birth plans, that some people don't even look to where they're actually delivering at to know if what they want in their birth plan is even realistic for the facility they're going to. So if you're going to a medical facility, you're not going to a birthing center, you don't have a midwife, you're going to a medical facility in which what they do is what? IVs and things like that. Now, all medical facilities don't do that. I know that too. But in general, a medical facility is going to have you have you IVs in place, be in the bed, it just depends on the hospital and the situation, but a lot of medical facilities are like that. So please do some research. If you're someone who's wanting to have a baby, do some research about the facility that you're going to deliver at and see what they allow and don't allow before you write your birth plan. That way you will know what to expect. And if they don't meet your criteria, then you don't need to deliver there. You need to go deliver somewhere that meets your criteria. So just be mindful of that. That's one thing, that's a pet peeve of mine anyway. It's kind of like, okay, these birth plans, and then you're wondering why you ended up with all this other stuff, So I want to walk when I want to walk. Well, you had a C-section, so you ain't walking right now. You got to wait at least 8 to 12 hours to walk. So you see what I'm saying? So definitely do some research on that. Birth plans, number 5. Number 6, couplet care. I'm not going to go a whole lot into this because I did a whole separate video on why I do not like couplet care. Just know I'm going to link that video. I'm not even going to go a whole bunch into that. I'm going to link that video to this one. And so couplet care is basically where one nurse has a couplet, a mom and her baby or babies if it's usually twins. And she could have several couplets, and she could have other patients as well that are high acuity, just like these are. If you have a drug mom, as an example, so she's withdrawing, she's going to come off of a drug. That baby's also been exposed to that drug, so that baby's going to be withdrawing from that drug as well. So again, I'm going to link that video, but that's kind of a gist of what I was saying in that video. I don't like couplet care. Couplet care in theory works, but in reality doesn't work unless you have other operations in place, such as good staffing, a good mix of patients, and you don't have high acuity patients, a lot of high acuity patients. All right, we are on number 7 now. Number 7. So again, these are 10 things that only a mother baby nurse would understand. Okay. Number 7 is the happy floor. We are known all the time to be the happy floor. And and this is more so for nurses. Other nurses in the hospital feel that we are the happy floor. Oh, they're the happy floor. No, we're not the happy floor all the time. It depends on your patient demographic and what goes on your unit to know if you're the happy floor all the time. I don't care what goes on. You're never happy all the time, okay? Like I just told you, we had fetal demises, we have deaths, we have high acuity patients. Our patients are sicker than before. We have drug moms. I have moms that are in jail. I have moms that are homeless. I have all kinds of situations. I've had a mom who, she came in to deliver a certain day. She came in, that was delivery day. She was coming in to have a scheduled C-section. And when they hooked her up to the monitor to hook her up on the toco, there was no heartbeat. So yes, she had the C-section, but she didn't come home with the baby. There's nothing happy about that. So it's not the happy floor like all nurses think we are. We have our own set of issues on our floor. For the most part, we do help bring life into the world, and it's a joyous event. But there are occasions where it's not so joyous, and the nurses are not happy either. We're not sitting there just twiddling our thumbs like, oh, we're going to rock a baby. We're going to feed a baby. We're going to help mom breastfeed. No. That may happen in some small community hospitals where you got like 2 patients. But when I have 6 patients every single shift, and majority of them are higher acuity, no, it's not the happy floor that people think it is. We work just as hard, if not harder in some situations, as the rest of you all nurses work, okay? We don't have, at our facility, we don't have techs on our floor. So when I say we don't have no techs on our floor, that means exactly what that means. Meaning I got to do vital signs, empty catheters, take catheters out, put catheters in, put IVs in, get my patients up, pass trays, pass medications, and do assessments and document all at the same time per patient times 6. Okay? I'm doing all that. So it's not always the happy floor. It's not what you think it is. All right. Number 8. Do moms really rest? No. That's the answer to that. I'm moving on. I'm joking. I'm not joking about they don't rest. They don't rest. They don't. At most of our hospitals, now mind you, if you work at a hospital that you all have what we call quiet hours, and I know a few hospitals that do quiet hours, wonderful. We have not adopted that yet. We have not adopted quiet hours yet. So at our hospital, moms do not get adequate rest. And they're not getting adequate rest for several reasons. For one, they're only going to be there between 1 to 4 days, depending on how they delivered. Number 2, the nurses are going to be coming in and out. The pediatrician, the OB, dietary, housekeeping. If you didn't pay your bill, financial services people, Medicaid people going to be coming in. The hearing screen person going to be coming in. If you need a chaplain, they're going to be coming in. If you done did something wrong and you know DCS is involved, they coming in. If you happen to what else? Case management comes in sometimes. If you may have a situation that your patient may need they don't need DCS involved, but it's enough of a situation where they want to make sure that you're okay to go home. So you may have case management involved. You may have all those situations going on, and you have all those people coming in all the time. Plus, some hospitals require you to do every hour rounding during the day and every 2 hours at night. And if you are actually doing your rounding as a nurse, these patients ain't getting sleep. Point blank period. That's how it is. Moms ain't getting sleep. Plus, keep in mind, she has to feed her baby, right? So she's either breastfeeding or she's bottle feeding. And if she's breastfeeding, she's feeding on demand, typically every 1 to 3 hours. And if she's bottle feeding, she's feeding every 2 to 4 hours or so, 3 to 4 hours, depending on what the regimen happens to be. So she's being disturbed all through the day and night with all this stuff going on. We don't really get adequate rest in the hospital. Long gone are the days in which moms stayed in the hospital for a whole week, getting not nursing classes, but classes about how to care for herself and the baby. Those days are long gone. You're not getting rest in the hospital. You're going to be in, have a baby, and we're going to get you out because insurance ain't going to pay for no more than what you're supposed to be there for in the first place. All right, number 9. All right, so what's unique to mother baby is the baby has arrived. We are the ones who get to witness this life coming into the world. We're the ones who get to be a part of a major life change. Okay, a baby is a major life change. So we get to be a part of that. We as nurses get to be a part of your major life change when it's time for you to have a baby. We get to help you, whether it's your first baby ever or your first baby again because it's been 10 years. Or it's your second, third, fifth, sixth, 17th baby, however many babies you got. We get to be there and be a part of that process because even still you've had a baby before, every pregnancy, every delivery is slightly different, okay? So that's something unique to OB. No one else gets to be a witness to that. Plus, when it comes to that, it is the whole family that we involve. It's not just about the patient. It's about the patient and her family, okay? And other siblings and things like that. So we have kids on the floor, other children, their siblings on the floor in terms of, not on the unit, what I mean, not on the actual floor, but on the unit to visit their new baby brother or sister. We have blended families. We have same-sex couples. We have all kinds of things that are unique to us in terms of, having babies. So the baby has arrived and we are the ones who get to witness that and actually be a part of that transition into this new life. Okay. Number 10, this is the last one. So last one on 10 things that a mother baby nurse or postpartum nurse would understand. The last one is that being a mother baby nurse is messy. Messy. So people are like, well, what does that mean? Like being a nurse is messy. Absolutely correct. You all are used to or know about that you can have bodily fluids on you. Your patients could spit on you, pee, poop, all that stuff. That is normal. Emesis, that's pretty typical, right? Well, that's typical on our floor too. We have, but get this though, our moms throw up on us sometimes if we get caught in the way. Of course, they don't per se pee on us, but you can definitely get urine on you or poop on you easily from mom. Blood easily, because we have postpartum hemorrhages and things like that. We can get that on us. That's not a big deal. But the baby can get us too. So you up here feeding the baby, burping the baby, next thing you know, spit up done went, or formula, whatever done went all down your scrubs, okay? Or you're changing little boy or girl, guess what? That pee, especially little boy, when it pokes out and gets you, you get peed all over. I've been in a situation where I'm holding the baby because I was about to wash. He was a brand new baby. I was about to give him a bath, wash his hair, and I had him wrapped up. And I'm trying to figure out why is my shirt so warm? And I'm thinking like, why is my shirt? Now, mind you, I'm up here washing this baby's head, right? I'm like, why? I'm thinking I'm getting water running down my shirt. This baby's peeing on me as I am washing his hair. So, we get peed on, and then of course, guess what? We get pooped on all the time. So you go and lift the baby's legs, and we're cleaning their bottom, trying to get that thick meconium, tar poop off of them. And then next thing you know, you pull their leg up, trying to get them clean, and poop shoots out, and you got poop everywhere. And so we live like that. So we know to have extra sets of scrubs with us, or sometimes we have hospital scrubs, issued scrubs that we can switch out for. But yes, that is a reality for us, that we definitely get peed and pooped on and things like that. And these are things that they don't think about, or we don't think about in nursing school, that you're going to get peed and pooped on. They talk about that in some patient populations, but you don't really think about that when it comes to OB. So anyway, that finishes this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. 10 things that only postpartum mother baby nurses would understand when it comes to our little world. In hindsight, this is my specialty. I love OB for the most part. We have good days and we have bad days. And if you've watched any of my vlogs, you know I've had some good days and you know I've definitely had some bad ones. So this is my world. This is my life. I love OB. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please thumbs this video up. Subscribe if you have not already. Like, comment. Let's chat in the comments. Tell me what you think. If you happen to be an OB nurse, or or maybe you think about coming to OB, or you happen to be a med surg nurse, ICU nurse, ER nurse, nursing student, what do you think? Do you think that some of these things sound realistic, or wow, I didn't know that? Let me know what you think. Let's chat in the comments. Until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.